So when the liver not stores, but it filters out something toxic or whatever.
Yes.
What happens to that, whatever that is? Say the fumes from carbon monoxide or whatever. So it sits in your liver. How long is it there?
It depends on your liver function. So in the liver, we have two phases of metabolization. We have phase 1 and phase 2, liver detoxification. When let's say like those fumes, for example, if let's say phase 1 goes through phase 1 and it's not able to metabolize it, it'll shunt it into phase 2. If phase 2 then still cannot metabolize it, then it gets trapped in the liver. And that's when you'll see fatty deposits in the liver. An example I can give you is aspartame. So if you have diet pop ever, what will happen, aspartame, our bodies does not recognize aspartame. It has no idea what it is. So what will happen is it will go through phase 1 liver detox, but then aspartame is not able to get broken down. So then it'll go through phase 2, but still our bodies are not able to break it down. But it can break it down to is formaldehyde. So that aspartame becomes formaldehyde via phase 2 liver detox, and that's what passes in the blood-brain barrier, and it sits in your body, in the fat cells, until it's able to get it out. And there's different ways of cleaning up the liver.
How does Splenda do?
Splenda is very similar, but Splenda doesn't convert to formaldehyde. What Splenda does is tricks the pancreas into thinking that there is sugar. So the pancreas then will secrete out insulin, but that insulin then it has to go to empty receptors. So when I hear diabetics saying that their doctor said that it's okay to have Splenda, it's mind-boggling. Because you're better off having actual sugar where you do have the insulin, but there is somewhere for the insulin to go to. With Splenda, it tricks your body into thinking that you have sugar somewhere, but when you don't. But insulin's still secreted because you just had a sweetener.
Okay, so insulin secreted. I know what happens. What? Go ahead.
So when you have excess amounts of insulin in the body, but the insulin has nowhere to go. So insulin, think of it's your hormone, so think of it as a key. Every single cell that you have are these doors on them, and they have the locks. Insulin is the key, has to get into that cell, open that door so the cell opens, nutrition goes in. But if you have insulin that's secreted, but there's nothing that insulin can actually go to, it is a growth.
Receptor, you mean?
That's right. There's no actual receptor for insulin to take onto to open.
Right.
What will happen is insulin is a growth factor, which means that you have high levels of insulin that will get your body in a stress mode. When that happens, you secrete more cortisol. Now, cortisol in excessive amounts then triggers tumor growth, which is why when diabetics are more prone to different types of cancers as well. Does that make sense?
So cortisol can trigger cancer.
It has, absolutely. In negative amounts, yes. And if it's triggered the wrong way. Cortisol is good. I mean, if you have, you're hiking along, all of a sudden you see a bear behind you, you want that cortisol to get the heck out of there.
Right.
So, I mean, there are ways, absolutely, cortisol is very good. Cortisol is actually one of the hormones that wakes you up in the morning. With that rise in cortisol after you've been sleeping, that's how you wake up out of bed. But there's negative impacts of it as well. Like any hormone, in excess will be detrimental to you. Estrogen is a very important hormone. Another example, too much of it, women get breast cancers.
Yeah.
And too much of it, men get prostate cancer with estrogen. So there's a balance in
Estrogen in men?
excessive amounts of estrone in men will
cause
prostate cancer.
prostate cancer. Wow. Okay.
That's a whole new topic.
Yeah.
Okay, back to my liver. So fatty liver is very common, and so many times I'll have patients come into the office, they tell me that the doctors have told them that they have a fatty liver, but not to worry about it, that it'll go away, you'll be fine. We'll just recheck you in about 1 to 2 years. I completely disagree with this. And the reason for that is if you have a fatty liver, that means that liver has now these fat globules literally in it that is blocking those cells from doing their job that they need to do. So when that happens, your chances of having high cholesterol or cardiovascular incident or diabetes is so much higher than a person who does not have those fat globules in their actual liver. But it is, and nowadays I'm treating a lot of younger adolescents, so meaning from the ages of 15 to about 20. The number of fatty livers I'm seeing is atrocious. It is not normal, but this is becoming a normal thing. Just like you see diabetes absolutely on the rise, and we've changed, the medical system has changed the allowable limits for blood sugar because of the rise in obesity. So instead of correcting the problem, all we've done is that, well, the normal used to be 5 to 5.5. Now it's 5 to 5.9 is now normal. not realizing that's actually not normal. We should be still lower on that scale. But that the main reason is because we're seeing this so common now. This is now normal almost. To have a little bit of fatty liver, oh, that's normal. How is that normal? It's not normal.
Is that through the urine that they're tested that way? Like that you would know they had a fatty liver?
No, it's through blood test.
Blood.
Yeah.
Is that basically because of all the fast food and stuff kids are eating?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So liver is a remarkable machine for keeping weight under control. So as a fat burning organ and a fat pumping organ. So anytime you are, eating fast food or, any type of, we're humans, right? We're going to go out every now and again, not a big deal. But the liver's responsibility is to make sure that fat that you've just eaten, that saturated fat that you've just had, it's the liver that goes and breaks it all up for you so that you're able to either absorb it or eliminate it out to whatever way you need to. Okay, so this abdominal fat business. I'm sure you all know about this. How when you have that abdominal fat, those really pot bellies that you see out there, you know that person has a fatty liver, guaranteed. You can do blood tests on every single person that in your practice or in your, wherever you're training, and you see that pot belly, you do a blood work on them, guaranteed you're going to see a fatty liver. And that tells me that the blood itself is not able to come back to the liver to get back to the heart because of this excessive abdominal stress that they're actually having on their body. Now, another sign that you have a fatty liver could be that liver roll potentially. So on the right side of people's, how sometimes when you do body measurements for people, they'll be a little lopsided. One side is bigger than the other. Check their right side and see if they've got a little pocket on the right where they don't on the left. So it's another way you can tell if there's a fatty infiltration of the actual liver itself. So again, sign of fatty liver. So if you improve your liver function, then the chances of that abdominal fat going is extremely high. So as long as your liver is working normally, that abdominal fat even that is there, is the ability for your body to metabolize that through beta oxidation is very, very quick. And I've seen that change within like 3 to 6 months. It's not long. But the thing is you have to actually do it. So what are good things to do for your liver? Think raw. You know about that. So raw fruits and veggies, and if you have troubles digesting raw, I usually get people to then blanch it or just very gently steam it really fast so that it's still raw, but you've taken that cold snap out of your food. And of course, avoid all bad oils and only eat the good ones. And what I mean by eat the good ones, something like olive oil, which is an omega-9 fat, is an excellent, excellent healthy fat for the liver. It actually gets the hepatocytes to clear themselves out of excess fat. And the fat in avocados is also another excellent fat for the liver. Did you have a question?
Is that coconut, you can fry with that coconut oil?
That's right, the extra virgin coconut oil is an
good?
excellent fat also. It is a saturated fat, but the beauty of it is actually doesn't touch the arteries. And it's a medium chain triglyceride, which means it is anti-inflammatory. So coconut oil is an excellent oil to cook with. You can also jack the heat up on coconut oil and it doesn't change on you. Olive oil is one of those you have to have raw. You elevate the temperature of olive oil, it will change composition on you. It will become rancid. And think as natural as possible. If your grandma recognizes that food or your great grandma, then you know you're eating the right thing.
What about grapeseed?
Grapeseed oil is great, but you don't cook with it.
You can bake whatever.
Yeah, you can bake it, that's fine, because as long as it's gentle baking, like you're not broiling anything, like 350-ish is usually the max for grapeseed oil.
So oil in a frying pan, if you want to cook a steak or something, let's just say you wouldn't put olive oil in it.
Never. You use extra virgin coconut oil.
Okay.
Or uterus oil, is that okay?
Not at all. No, that has to be consumed raw. Because once you elevate that heat, you will mutate the oil.
Okay.
You change the composition of it. What kind of oil was that?
Uterus.
Udos. That's 369.
I take it on like a spoon, but I was just curious if you could use it.
No, not really for cooking. And rehydrate. Hydration is the #1 key for your poor little liver. You're hydrated, that liver for you is going to be functioning for a long time for you. But dehydration sets in, insulin imbalances sets in, cortisol ends up being elevated. All that plays a role in making your liver doesn't function properly. Staying hydrated would really, really benefit your liver. Keeping your bowels moving. If you're not going at least 1 to 2 times a day, there's an issue. Just remember that. People have to go every day. When I hear people say, oh, I only go a couple times a week, that's a little scary. That's when I know you need to check the liver. And what was the other thing? Quality instead of quantity. So
Is
what
that a big sign? I know a lot of girls that go to the bathroom twice a week. Is
That is a liver issue right
Really?
there,
Okay.
absolutely. Must check the liver to see what is actually happening in it. So some other really powerful foods for the liver is actually tomatoes, but not raw tomatoes. Tomatoes, when you cook them or when you have a tomato paste, it has lycopene. And it has, I mean, I'm sure we all know this by now, right? But the lycopene actually has been shown to promote cell proliferation, which means cancer cell death. But the raw tomatoes actually do not have that benefit. Tomato paste is excellent, especially for the men in here. A third of a cup of tomato paste, a third of a spoon of tomato paste every single day is amazing for the prostate. And also, because of the lycopene, it also will help your hepatocytes in the liver itself help to metabolize the estrogens and the progesterones a lot better as well.
So a raw tomato, then, does it have no value?
No,
It really doesn't.
no, they gotta cook them. I know, it's strangest things. I mean, so many foods have so many benefits raw. Tomatoes is one of the only ones that you are not, you can't absorb the lycopene if it's not cooked.
Okay.
So like tomato sauces, like pasta sauces, are awesome. And tomato paste itself is one of the best, it's the highest. If you go on Inspire Health, which is a cancer agency, all of their research has been done on lycopene, which is from tomato paste. And there is amazing benefits for lycopene, but in the paste form.
What are the benefits for women for like?
Like is for liver function itself, so making sure that estrogen metabolized constantly.
Okay.
Lycopene is great for that.
Okay.
Again, we were talking about hydration, so drinking lots and lots of fluids to the point where you want to be peeing pretty much clear. If you have yellow or concentrated yellow, you know that you're dehydrated for sure. So it's important that when you're drinking liquids though, coffee doesn't count. That's a caffeine, right? People tell me, well, I made it with water. Yes, I know you made it with water. However, the caffeine will destroy that poor water that you did have. So green tea, as long as it's Japanese green tea, it's an excellent, another excellent source for antioxidant. One thing I forgot to write on there is rooibos tea. We've all heard of rooibos tea. Rooibos tea is an excellent antioxidant. In fact, the latest research on rooibos has actually been showing better benefits than even green tea is. Green tea has always been hailed as the end-all be-all for cancer treatments, but the rooibos is actually showing up even more so. It's an African red bush. Yeah, excellent. Love it. Ginger, anti-inflammatory. Peppermint is also excellent for metabolizing, getting the hepatocytes in the liver to actually get them to metabolize better.
Why does the green tea have to be Japanese?
Because the Japanese standards for importing and exporting green tea is extremely high. So they're all tested for heavy metals such as mercury, lead, arsenic, PCBs, all of that. Whereas Chinese is not. They're not tested for anything. So even when it comes to, if you buy like rice milk or almond milk and you see enriched on it, never buy that enriched. Because those chemicals actually came from China. Whereas you just get original, good old normal rice milk, almond milk, coconut milk, whatever it is, non-enriched, is from Japan.
Okay, thanks.
So hydration will also make sure that your skin and your kidneys are eliminating toxins, and all those two organs work in conjunction with your liver for your detoxification and making sure that your system is not an overload of toxins.
But aren't you